Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds, halfway point of the week. Third set of college football rankings. And, man, if the playoffs started today, I think we'd have a pretty good run, wouldn't you?
I think it's probably going to remain the same, too, because the schedules were about to run out now, and that's what they make the final decision on. It'll be the second week of December is when they announce the finals. But if it were to start today, the top four teams get byes. That's Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia. They would all be off. They'd have a first-round bye. Then the playoffs, the other 8 teams would compete. And in the first round, you would have Tulane, which is the non-Power 4 team that the committees decided should be in it. Tulane would go out to play Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. Miami would go to Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi, play Mississippi. Alabama on the road to Oregon. And in a matchup of two of history's great football programs, Notre Dame would go to Oklahoma to play. That would be the first round if it were to begin today, which it does not. We'll see what happens.
Man, a lot of chocolate chips to be made over the next several weeks, my friend.
I'm open to donations.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to his radiothon over there at 102.1 The One, starting at 7 o'clock with Scott. He'll be taking donations in Ned's honor to help him get through the playoffs. You know, it's been relatively quiet in the free agency for the most part, but there has been a couple of moves for St. Louis and Kansas City recently.
Free agency started at the end of the World Series, but it really doesn't begin until actually the baseball owners meeting that's coming up December 7th through the 10th. But there has been some, and yesterday was the final day that major league teams could offer what are called qualifying offers to their free agent players. That means, hey, we'll pay you this much if you come back. And there were some who did sign up, and there were many who did not. The Cardinals did not extend any qualifying offers. And they have free agents on their ball club. They are all now free agents to make their own deal. We won't go into the numbers of them. They did lose a player in the Rule 5 draft. Rule 5 is if you leave a player unprotected off your 40-man roster at a certain time, another club can claim him. And the Cardinals lost outfielder Michael Ciani, who did play quite a bit for the Cardinals early last year, or this past season, I should say, and he was claimed by the Atlanta Braves. The Royals were looking at available free agents. They didn't offer anybody any qualifying offers. They did choose free agency, however, and among the big names who did, Alex Bregman from the Boston Red Sox, Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, Dylan Cease out in the West Coast of the San Diego Padres, and Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies. 56 home runs, folks, and he is now a free agent. Now, he could sign again with Philly, and that may be all part of the bargaining, but interesting to see what might happen here in the next couple of months.
Absolutely, and you want him to stay with your boys, or are you okay with losing him? They need to make some room.
Well,
make a change up. What do you
there
think?
is a circumstance that you have to look at it a couple of ways.
Yeah.
Schwarber's a big guy, and he is not a kid. He's in his mid-30s, can still hit the ball, and he's still a catalyst, but for how much longer? That's the key.
Yeah. And again, how much money is getting paid
A lot.
for that situation. All right, let's talk about St. Louis Blues hockey. It's unfortunate. I felt like they could possibly win that game against the Maple Leafs, but hey, they showed up to a really good Maple Leafs team, and it just wasn't enough.
Except for the fact that the Maple Leafs had lost 6 in a row.
Yeah,
and they have just massive injury problems on their team, but Toronto did come back to win it in overtime. Toronto 3, the Blues 2 in overtime. Blues do get a point. The winning team gets 2 points. And St. Louis, they have only 6 victories on the year, I think it's 10 losses and a whole bunch of ties, but those ties do allow for 1 point if, in fact, whatever happens, you do get points for it. They have the National Hockey League circumstance to where almost all the teams are going to make the playoffs anyway, so you kind of bide your time and see what happens.
The Missouri State Lady Bears were on the court last night. How they looking?
Played Georgia Southern, and the Lady Bears are still undefeated. It's a pretty good little game. The Georgia Southern team is coached by Hannah Hayden, who played her high school basketball at Kickapoo. She's one of a throwback, so to speak, to the Kickapoo golden era when they were champions practically all the time. The Georgia Southern team that she inherited last year, they finished 16-18 last year. They're now 1-3 on the year this year. And one of their losses is to LSU, who came to Statesboro, Georgia to play. That just doesn't happen. And that's Kim Mulkey's team, and all they did was win 118-70. Anyway, last night, the Lady Bears won 69-58, pulled away with rallies in the second and third period, and then held on. Lainey Douglas, who is a sophomore from Overland Park, had 21 for the Lady Bears. They're a good team. They're a very good team. Now, where do they fall in the national scheme of things? Well, certainly maybe midway through in some of the powers, but as far as the huge teams are concerned, the LSUs and the Connecticuts and the South Carolinas, no, not there yet, but you never can tell what might happen. Anyway, Lady Bears 69 and Georgia Southern 58.
Who are we seeing as the big dogs early on in men's college basketball?
Great doubleheader last night. Madison Square Garden, New York, and this, they call it the Night of Champions. And what they do annually is invite the four, how can I say this, the bluest of the blue bloods all go there. It's Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke. Anyway, in last night's matchup, Michigan State defeated Kentucky 83-66, and then the Kansas-Duke game was a real thriller until the Duke Blue Devils pulled away to win it 78-66. Duke is very good, so is Kansas. Kansas did not have their top player. He was out, the Peterson kid. But nonetheless, there will be some interesting ball games as they go on. Arkansas played Winthrop last night. Winthrop is a Division I program from down in, I think it's South Carolina is where they are. Arkansas is trailing with 1 minute to go, 83-76. Somehow the Razorbacks came back and won the game 84-83. Still, that's an embarrassingly close game for the Razorbacks. They're better than that. Over the weekend, this past weekend, the Bears lost to Texas Arlington and lost big to them. Boy, this is a catastrophe. You don't lose to teams like that. Apparently, Texas Arlington is pretty good. They went to Evansville last night in the Missouri Valley Conference, and Arlington won it 84-76. And then Southeast Missouri State from Cape Girardeau took on the Iowa Hawkeyes last night. And Iowa is pretty good, 99-70. Iowa 99, Southeast Missouri State 70. That was the final.
SEMO. Never really been that good.
Well, they are D1, though. The Ohio Valley Conference.
Just get beat up all the time.
Well, they still have a ways to go before they become a power.
Saturday, obviously, we're super hype on the Bears, and everyone should be. They've got a very, very important game in Georgia. How are you feeling about this one?
The ball game is with Kennesaw State, the Kennesaw State Owls, and they are pretty good. Kennesaw State is big, they are quick, but they are also coming off a loss. And the loss was to Jacksonville State out of Alabama, which is also Conference USA. And I think the Kennesaw State Ball Club is smarting a bit from that. Kennesaw State is a 6.5 point favorite over the Bears. The Bears are good, folks, but how they match up against a real big-timer. Now, the Bears have beaten Liberty, and they've beaten Middle Tennessee State. They've beaten everybody they have played in the conference. This is a good team. I think they are under that point spread. I'm not going to predict a win, but I would take the points and go with Missouri State.
Ned, you have a great day, and I will see you on Thursday.